Everybody. Hey, I came across this phrase some time ago, and it's a phrase from one of Oscar Wilde's plays. And the phrase is this: every saint has a past, every sinner has a future. And the source of this phrase comes from one of Oscar Wilde's plays, A Woman of No Importance. And it is spoken by this guy called Lord Illingworth, who's sounds like a self-soothing, hedonist, pleasure-seeking, and totally dishonorable. And in the context of the play, Illingworth thinks that saints are fools for giving up self-centered lives of pleasure, while sinners still have much, much more pleasure to come. So basically, he says, let's be sinners and do whatever we like, and to hell with the consequences. And there's still plenty of people who are like that, aren't there? But I think there's actually another way of looking at that particular phrase. It's about actually owning our past and choosing in the moment of the now to define our future. And I have a little coffee coaster on my desk. It's solid glass, and underneath you can place like a picture of somebody or something. But I've got a quote, and a quote given to me by a counsellor, and it says this: "My past does not define me. It's the decisions and choices I make today." And every saint has a past. Well, what is a saint? For many, it is someone who's exceptional holiness and purity before God. But the point in this quote is that everyone, including those we hold most highly, has a past, a shadow, and an untold story. And if you're watching and you're listening to this, you know you've got a past and you've got a story that hasn't been told, one that probably you hold very, very close to yourself. And in the Bible, we don't have to look very far to see that the great saints of the Bible, for example, mentioned in Hebrews 11, included liars, prostitutes, murderers, adulterers, and definitely the arrogant. And there's a short little piece of prose here. I don't know who wrote it, but Jacob was a liar, Peter had a temper, David had an affair, Noah got drunk, Jonah ran from God, Paul was a murderer, Gideon was insecure, Miriam was a gossip, Mary was a worrier, Thomas a doubter, Sarah was impatient, Elijah was moody, Moses stuttered, Zacchaeus was short, and Abraham was old. I don't know what was wrong with being old, but I suppose all these people, no matter what situation they were in, God actually used them. But, when we venerate someone, and really put them up on a pedestal and we hold them so high, we only, we discover that under all the adornments, they are just like us. Human beings making human being decisions and coming up short. Every sinner has a future. I think this is my favourite quote about sin. That's from Simone Weil. Sin is not a distance, it's a turning of our gaze in the wrong direction. It's both the large gazes in the wrong direction and the ever so slight shifts of gaze away from God. It's not just the huge public sins that everyone sees and throws stones at, but also the slight moments of arrogance and pride that nobody sees and comments on. Every sinner has a future speaks to our opportunity to carry on shifting our gaze away from God, but also the choice to shift our gaze back to God and to keep our attention there. We have a choice in this moment of the now to refine our focus. Look, who is the perfect judge of you? We make judgments of ourselves and others, don't we? Are these behaviors of a sinner or of a saint? Am I hitting the mark or am I falling short? Shall I continue throwing stones at myself or bathe myself with God's grace? There is only one perfect judge of everything you do. Only one. And the psalmist asks the investigator to examine. And this is a lovely psalm. God, investigate my life. Get all the facts firsthand. I'm an open book to you. Even from a distance, you know what I'm thinking. You know when I leave, when I get back. I'm never out of your sight. You know everything I'm going to say. Before I start the food sentence, I look behind me and you're there. And then up ahead, you're there too. Your reassuring presence coming and going. This is too much, too wonderful. I can't take it all in. Is there any place I can go to avoid your spirit, to be out of your sight? If I climb to the sky, you're there. If I go underground, you're there. If I flew on the morning's wings to the far western horizon, you'll find me in a minute. You're already there waiting. Then I said to myself, oh, he even sees me in the dark. At night, I'm immersed in the light. It's a fact. Darkness isn't dark to you. Night and day, darkness and night, they're all the same to you. Oh yes, you shaped me first inside and then out. You formed me in my mother's womb. I thank you, high God, you're breathtaking. Body and soul, I am marvelously made. I worship in adoration. What a creation. You know me inside and out. You know every bone of my body. You know exactly how I was made, bit by bit. How I was sculpted from nothing into something. Like an open book, you watched me grow from conception to birth. All the stages of my life were spread out before you. The days of my life all prepared, before I'd even lived one. Investigate my life, O God. Find out everything about me. Cross-examine and test me. Get a clear picture of what I'm about. See for yourself whether I've done anything wrong. Then guide me on the road to eternal life. That was Psalm 139. The beauty of God's investigation is that in the end, all is forgiven. God knows all and forgives all. I walk as a sinner in the acceptance of sainthood because God gives grace where once there was a demand for justice. God knows you're all and with compassion forgives you all. So where are you? Are you hard on yourself and others? Is your judge's gavel pounding down upon yourself? Is it black and white, in or out, guilty as found, living in the crime of yesterday? Or are you accepting of colour, grace, mercy, forgiveness, and a new day of opportunity? I dance between the two, to be honest. But I want to dance more in the colour and light. There is allurement of hope. Every saint has a past, every sinner a future, has the invitation of a fresh new day, beckoning me to be as best a saint as I can be in a broken world. In this day, I will stumble and shift my gaze. But I will also be welcomed back into a loving embrace by a parent longing for me to come home. Think prodigal son. Some quotes for you to think about. To understand all is to forgive all. Sinners often speak the truth, and saints have led people astray. Examine what is said, not the one who says it. Anthony de Mello. He condemned nothing in haste, and without taking circumstances into account, he said, examine the road over which the fault has passed. That was from Victor Hugo. Acceptance is not unmode nearly as much as aggression, resistance, fight, or flight. None of them achieve the deep and lasting results of true acceptance and peaceful surrender. Richard Rohr. God's forgiveness towards me and my forgiveness toward another are like the voice and the echo. Dennis and Matthew Lynn. Acceptance is not our mode as much as aggression, resistance, fight, or flight. None of them achieve the deep and lasting results of true acceptance and peaceful surrender. Richard Rohr. And what will others think is a symptom of a disease called living our lives through other people's eyes. It's time to get properly centered. David Riddell. Questions. How much do you live under other people's judgment? Number 1. And number 2, what verse in Psalm 139 speaks most to you? 3. To understand all is to forgive all. Do you know enough yet to forgive yourself and others? God does. Hope this found you was helpful to you in your walk. If you want to email me, I just simply love to hear from my readers and my watchers and listeners. Barry at turningthepage.co.nz. And thank you to those people who support me regularly on Patreon or Donor Box or wherever you give me a little donation. It all helps. Hey, until next week, God be with you. Okay, bye.